You asked for it, you get it. Ryu and I will rip your photos into smithereens. Hold on to your headphones or your car stereo. Here comes the pain.
Your car stereo. Sounds like something from like the 90s or something. People,
yeah, I'm a
do they
90s
call it
dude.
still car stereo?
Yeah, what else
Do
would
they
you
plug iPhones or something, or like iPod or your phone, Android phone?
Still plug it into your car stereo.
That is true. This car stereo sounds like
It
a
does.
cassette
Well,
deck. You know what I
stereo,
mean?
stereo is what sounds like the 90s.
It does. I don't think people actually even, like young people even know what a stereo is.
Probably not.
No. But it doesn't really matter.
No.
Because young people are stupid. So there you go. Welcome to Big Lens Fast Shutter, where we demystify the world of sports photography. And this is Training Ground. And this is where we criticize your photos because I think you really deserve to be criticized because they're all shit. And our plan is to not to make ourselves feel good by trashing your photos. Our plan is to make you understand exactly why your photos are deemed garbage and that should be thrown away and never to be seen ever again. So please bear in mind that is kind of the context of the whole thing. I've received emails recently saying that, oh, I had no idea this is how you're going to be critiquing my photo and this is so childish. Like, well, childish or not, your photos are shit. So what else am I supposed to do? You know, there's nothing else we can do. We can't really sugarcoat something that is bad. Unless
and you know, if you want this service and don't like how we deliver it, then you should probably go find 2 other professional photographers who will spend their time critiquing your photos. In this case, for free.
Yeah, and it won't probably happen, but you know, I mean, you can always bitch about what you can get for free, which is always a great thing to do. So it's gonna start because my wife's gonna come back with the child and she has to eat quite soon. It's 5:28. It's by Toin Oshodi. I'm just looking at the picture now, and you can look at it as we go along because it's in video. So, Matt Cohen.
So 2 things on this, and both of them are, you know, the kind of things where it's a pretty hard and fast rule, and you can break it, either one of them, at certain times, but you have to really have something to be able to break it. So the one is the guy standing there, the coach or whatever. That's not going to help. You know, if you're focused on that guy, like if this picture were reversed and that guy was like really, you know, screaming at the rider and gesturing and whatever, and he was in focus and the rider was in a blur, maybe. But having him there is just completely distracting to all the lines that are going on there. And you see what it is, but it's not blurred out enough, but it's blurred too much. So that's rule number 1. The second one is this 3/4 from behind, whether it's motorsports or running or cycling or really anything. What that subconsciously to people who don't know and consciously to people who do know, what that means is you were late. There's not really anything that's going to happen from this view. If you can get something that's directly behind, or you know, if they're right beside you, or if they're coming onto you or something, there's possibilities there. But this 3/4, 7/8 behind kind of thing really, really doesn't work. I can't think of a good reason why it would ever work, other than if it was like a crash or the light was perfectly going through the frame of the bike or something like that. Like there has to be a point other than this is a picture of a guy riding a bike. There has to be some kind of artistic merit to the reason that you're coming up with this angle. This is never going to work otherwise. So you put those 2 things together, and then you put in the fact that it's not panning slow enough, and this is not a picture.
No. I just want to add that there has to be something beautiful and exciting happening, and the only thing I could really see that could possibly work, granted the guy standing who's blurred is not there, it's a shadow, and it's the only thing I can think, but then it's too far and the shadow's not really doing anything. And you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you pan or don't pan. If it's not an exciting image to start with, there's not much more you can do. So, sorry. Now we go to towing as well. And this is a track meet. And this is as if you just took your camera and pointed it direction of that they're coming and took a picture, and that's it. And let's say the only thing that is exciting is the fact that the guy on the right didn't go over the hurdle, but he kind of like, knocked it down, which is not exciting enough. You have to find, like, I like symmetry in pictures, so I do try to like find in kind of geometrical patterns. I really do like those things. So I try to keep in mind when I shoot pictures, like that's what I do. If these guys were all doing exactly the same thing at the same time, let's say they were hurling at the same time, there might be something there. But it is one of those images that happens all the time, because in most cases, especially like in the beginning, hurdlers hurdle at the same time. As they come closer and closer to you, there will be differences between the hurdlers, and this is basically at the very, very end of it, because there's no hurdles at the, I think it's almost the finish line. And like we said with the previous one, there's nothing really exciting going on. It's not like that you were shooting from but I think this angle in itself does really lend to a very exciting picture. Even if you have like 5, 6, whatever, 8 across, it won't, like, unless there's something extraordinary happening, this angle just doesn't do it. The only other thing I can think of, if you're really, really stuck on shooting at this position, then you gotta just, concentrate like one person doing something, or just two, but two people doing something really interesting. Or you have to anticipate something that's interesting is going to happen. As maybe two guys crashing into each other, like one guy kicking another guy's foot, or I don't know, two guys knocking hurdle at the same time. Something has to give. Otherwise, it's just a run-of-the-mill hurling picture. And we don't want that. No one wants it.
No. And then you have the people sitting there watching it from behind, and then you have the signs in the background. There's not a whole lot good that's going to happen from here, again, unless something extraordinary happens, unless somebody hits the top of the hurdle and flips over, he does a somersault or something, and you catch it in the air. Like, I'm looking at the two guys who are going over the hurdles. There might be something there if you had shot with a longer lens and been able to blur out the background and isolate those two guys or something. Like, their differing styles as they're going over could be like an interesting case of, well, this guy does it this way and this guy does it this way. But, the lighting is bad and the background is bad and you're too far away. Again, you have to think, what's the best case scenario? What is going to happen that's going to cause you to walk out of here, this race, and want to take out your memory card and upload the picture right away? Like, what could possibly happen that would cause that? And the only things that I can think of are like the 1 in 10,000 at this point.
Yeah.
There's just, from this position, the ceiling of your picture is not very high. That's just it. I mean, it's not you at that point. It could be anybody. Anybody sitting here shooting this has about, a 1 in 10,000 chance of getting a great picture from right here. That's it. So you're limiting yourself before you even push the button by doing that. So I would challenge you to find a different way to do this, or be using a much longer lens to try to isolate the action. But even then, I would much rather be somewhere else shooting this, because there's this, again, the ceiling is very low on this.
Yeah. Indoor stadium as well, and not good light, and it's just everything against you, but different angle as well. I don't know if you can get one.
Yeah.
Tom Beery, not Cohen.
I mean, no, it's
What's happening either.
Yeah, it's very, that's the reason. Like, it's very difficult to see what's going on because the guys on the field are kind of swallowed up by the ad banners and the stands in the background. If you, let's say this was a practice field and there wasn't any, the only other thing that was going on behind the action was grass, and not even the trees, and you had a nice sunset or something like that, this would be approaching the ground of being a decent picture because you could see what was going on. But I'm standing or I'm sitting about, I don't know, 18 inches away from the monitor or something, and from this distance I can't even begin to see what's going on here. It's only leaning in that I can see that there's a guy kicking the ball out of the air, but he's just completely swallowed up. So, you know, there's a time and a place for everything, but if you're trying to go for this really wide angle kind of thing, then whatever you're shooting has to be set off from the background. And I mean, if this guy, let's put it this way, if this guy could jump really, really high and he was up against the trees or something, and you could completely make him out and then everybody else is kind of standing around, that would kind of be a cool picture. It's still probably too far away, but that's what would have had to have happened from here for you to get something that would translate to people who weren't actually there. Just look at this, close your eyes, and then open them and try and figure out what's going on, and you can't do it.
It's a classic case of you see the sky and it's beautiful and you want to get that and you want to incorporate that into the rest of, you know, the field that you're going to be shooting, whatever sports that may be. Obviously a sports that's going to be happening outside because otherwise it won't really work. So I think, hold on 2 seconds. Sorry. So I think that I make the same mistake as well. And I always shoot. It's one of those cases you shoot it and see whether or not, for instance, I look at through my the preview, you know, screen on my camera and see whether or not in that size I can tell what's going on. And if I shot this, I look at it and say, I've got no idea what the hell is going on. The sky is beautiful, but there's no action that is, it's close, the action is not close enough that I can really call it a picture. So the only way this will be a picture is that if the action is really, really close to you.
It has to be literally in the corner between the end line and the 18 box. That's the only place, that 4-yard square or something like that, in that corner. That's the only place that this could have been a picture.
Otherwise, it just won't really work at all. So hope you understand that, Tom. And then we will go to the next one. It's Matt Cohen's brother, Matt Photography. So Matt Cohen's brother, Matt Photography is well, it's kind of difficult to judge. I mean, there's things going on, but maybe it's too much going on. And
yeah, it is too much going on, but it's also not, because there's more going on. It makes it, you know, a better effort than the 2 players going up or the, you know, goalie and the player going up for it or whatever. It kind of looks like the Matrix a little bit, you know, when they go in slow motion and they show like the multiple exposures as they're fighting or something like that. It would be cool if, I don't know. The problem is that I'm looking at the goalie's face that I can't see and the player in blue on the left whose face I can't see. If there was more separation between the players, I think it would be better. I think that having all that commotion could have been good, but then the timing was off because the ball should be way closer to what's going on. So either I'm guessing that this was after that the player in white had already headed it away or something.
Mm.
So I think you missed the timing. I think that that's really what happened. When there's a big scramble, you know, in the box or whatever, the exact timing of when you take the picture matters a lot. Like, you can't control how the players are going up and where they're arranged or something, but the timing is completely on you, and you blew the timing here. And I'm guessing that there would have been that separation between the goalie and the player in the white that would have made this at least a little bit better of a picture. It's not a great picture. It wouldn't have been a great picture, but it would have been at least visually interesting if you had gotten that separation and there was all this stuff going on behind them, because it would be way better than if there was nothing going on behind them. But that's the extent of it.
Yeah, I think I don't know why it's difficult for me to come up with a better alternative for this particular situation, because there probably isn't. Like, this is kind of just how it is, and there's too many things happening, and at the end of the day, too many things happening, but nothing really spectacular enough that I'd keep it. And if it was just like the goalkeeper and the guy, you know what I'm talking about, on the right hand side, I think it would have been fine. But I think the guy in the back is really just distracting. He's not really doing anything. He's floating in air, and that's it. So, could you have done something better in the situation? Probably not, unless it's a longer lens. Unless you want to take up, because I don't think the atmosphere around it doesn't really look like it's a very enticing one either. So that means that the only thing that you could have done is actually gotten closer with your lens, not with your foot. But even though, if that's the case, like at this particular moment, it's messy, but there's no, I don't know, like the subject should be in this case the guy who's heading the ball out, or it looks like the guy who's hitting the ball out. But he doesn't really seem to be like in the position in the frame to be like the main character, because that's probably why your eyes just gonna wander all over the place trying to find out what the hell's going on. And in a situation like this, you need to really figure out, like, okay, this time it didn't really work out, but when it comes next time, when a similar situation arises next time, I'll make sure to pick a protagonist in the coming scene and concentrate on him, and make sure that he is the one doing something quite spectacular, while the others are kind of supporting character. But in this case, it really feels like there's too many cooks in the kitchen type of situation, and I just throw it away because it's too distracting in every sort of way whatsoever. Not terrible.
And the timing matters. You know, it's not just, oh, I got the ball and there's a bunch of players and we'll call it a day.
No.
You know, the ball doesn't have to be on the guy's head. It doesn't have to be on the goalie's hand. You don't need to see the sweat flying away. But, you know, when you look at this picture, there's only two things. Either the ball is coming in and these two guys the guy in white is trying to skip it and the goalie is trying to catch it, or the goalie has already knocked it away, or the player has already knocked it away. Either way, whatever has happened either has already happened or hasn't happened yet, and that's your job, is to get what's happening, not, you know, a fifth of a second before or a tenth of a second after. You know, you want the peak action. You want when the thing is actually happening, and you've either missed it early or late here.
It's a fucking disaster, this one.
Yeah.
So I think Matt, I like to say that. Matt. I think you know what you did wrong. Well, maybe he doesn't. So Matt, you want to tell Matt what's going on? Just really simple. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, it's great that you tried panning. But you know, there's no degree of difficulty. It's not diving in the Olympics. You know, you don't get you know, the extra 3/4 of a point because you tried something that was a little bit harder than what most of the other people were trying. So yeah, there are panning opportunities when you're shooting football. But you know, you just got caught in this weird zone where you know, what you want is somebody who's going in one direction that you can match the speed with, and then, you know, have the other people in the frame either not in there or doing something interesting.
But can I just add something really quick?
Yeah.
Because I think it's a bit difficult to see with the, because I have the original in front of me, you know? The guy in the foreground is out of focus. Guy in the middle is out of focus. Guy in the back is in focus.
Yeah.
So just so you know.
You know, which will happen when you know, if you have the cursor in the center of the frame, then that's going to happen. You know, and you can make that work. You probably can't make that work when you close down the aperture and you have a greater depth of field. You know, if you want to do something like this, then you have to have a filter on so that you can still have the aperture be kind of wide. You can focus on, you know, because the guy in the back does have a more interesting look on his face, and he is looking at you. You know, if this was a feature picture for a story on this guy, you could do that. You know, it could be, you know, the guy in the foreground can be completely out of focus, but you can still tell that he's on the same team and that he has the ball and that this guy's looking for a pass. You can do all that kind of stuff, but you can't miss the guy in the foreground by a little bit and focus on the guy in the background, because it just looks awkward like that. So, you know, there are other ways of doing it. You know, if you're panning and you want to leave some room on one side of the frame so that either you can give yourself a little bit of margin of error so that somebody will still be in the frame, or that you can get a defender in there, then you can just move the cursor over to the side and you'll be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, it happens a lot. If I'm shooting a bucking horse and a rider, and the horse throws the rider off to one side or the other, and the cursor is in the middle, the focus is going to go all the way to the back of the arena. It's happened. It happens all the time to lots of people.
Hello? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
But you know, the thing is that if you have the focus in the middle and people move to the edges of the frames, you either need to be able to recompose, or you need to be really quick with your thumb to get the cursor on what you want. So
that's bad. All right. I wanted to say that I don't think this should be here, but what really bothered me when I saw this particular image is that I wanted to see it more like the horse in the horse that's in focus, to feel like he's more of a race horse, not just a random horse on the street. And that's the only thing that really bothered me, is that had the frame, or had he actually shot a bit more of the horse, you can see maybe the jockey's hand or something that would actually like made the shot. And otherwise, I think it's really interesting. I do like it. I do like kind of like a forlorn look whenever you look, because you can't really see his eyes, or his face, but just kind of like the way things are, you know, done. I thought it was very, very good. But the one thing that really for me was missing is a bit more of a context thing, that I wanted to like see that someone was riding him, and it's just, I don't think for me it doesn't really work. Just, you know, or just a horse looking at other horses. So that was my thing.
I agree with that to a certain extent. It's definitely not a bad picture, and it is a good idea. For me, the thing that sticks out is that space in between the horse in the foreground and the horses in the background. It would have been nice if the horse had been a little bit closer, or if you had been able to move closer to the horse to kind of bridge that gap a little bit, because it's a lot of dead space right in the middle. But I do agree about the context. There really isn't a way to figure out if this is, because they have they're called pony horses, I think, who travel with the race horses to keep them calm, because, you know, part of horse racing is keeping the horse calm going into the starting grid and you know, warming up or whatever. So this could be one of those horses, which would make it a little bit less interesting. But if it was an actual racehorse, then it would have been good to see the colors on it. But Here's the thing. Again, I think we both kind of like this picture. I think we both think that it's probably better than really what should be in training ground. But for me, it's a game of inches again, and you have that. There's that space in the middle that just. I just think this would be way more powerful if you had been able to compose it. And I'm thinking maybe 2 steps over to the left would have minimized that gap in the middle, and it just would have been
That's also distracting.
just so much more of a powerful picture.
Yeah. Oh, good try, Jimmy. It's too round the mill for me, this one. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be in training ground though.
No, but I think, okay, since it is, I will say that if you're gonna do contrast between light and dark, this is like what, light in the late afternoon. There's a ray of light hitting the picture. I would have really, I guess in this case, increase the shutter speed so that only his arm and whatever like light is hitting him would be light, and the rest will be pitch black. Yeah. So I think it's a bit half-assed, this one.
Yeah, absolutely. At Jimmy's level, light like this is light like this is a gift, and you need to be able to really take advantage of it. And the whole point of a picture like this, you want it to look like he's pitching, in his darkened room or something. I mean, like the whole point of it is, free pass at a clean background. And if you look at this picture, there's plenty of light on his face, and there's plenty of light, more than enough light on the ball and the part of his arm that's sticking up. So there was easily another stop and a half or 2 stops that you could have dropped the shutter speed and still had his face with plenty of light on it, had the ball properly exposed, and had the background, if not completely black, then almost. The people with the white shirts on might have been screwing you a little bit, but most of the way you could have got that. Look at the difference between the black spots in the background and the guy in the white shirt. And then look at the difference between the ball and his face. So the difference between the dark spots in the background and the white shirt are very small. The difference between the ball and his face, pretty big. Yeah. So that alone tells me, even not looking at the EXIF or anything, that there was plenty of room to have made this into what you wanted to do. But you just have to, and I know, believe me, I know that light like this doesn't last. You might have had 4 minutes, that the light was doing this before it went behind a column or something stupid like that. But you need to be, this guy's obviously going to throw what, 7 pitches, 10 pitches in that period of time. So get your experimenting done right away, and then get locked on, and then see what you can do.
Yeah, and especially like in a situation where it's baseball, and it's not like American football or soccer.
You know where he's pitching from. You know exactly where he's pitching from.
And that should be to your advantage. It's okay, you know what? He's there, light's hitting there, boom, gonna start boom, 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 boom. You start, clicking and checking and clicking and checking and say, okay, that's the right exposure, okay, that's done. So we expect better stuff on Jimmy, really, honestly. Yeah. It's very, very subpar. It's not very good. I don't particularly like this picture from the get-go. I saw it a couple of times. It's too high key for me for no reason. And the fact that his hair, I think he wanted to make it high key, and his like head blends in with the rest of the sky. But the thing is, like, he's not doing anything interesting. I don't really find him interesting. So what is there for me to be looking at? It's mouthpiece, uniform, guy with the gold teeth. That's it. Or tooth, huh? Maybe it's teeth. No, it's tooth. It's a gold tooth. To me, that's really, really it. And I don't really feel anything from it. And the fact that you were this close to the guy means that there were probably other opportunities that were there that you didn't really get. Because this, to me, doesn't really do anything. I don't know what it is specifically that doesn't really do it, but it's not like I just don't find it interesting. The whole, I don't know why you did, but for me, just a guy with a mouthpiece is not really interesting enough. I'm sorry.
I don't dislike it quite as much. I think that it's breaking the rule of thirds when it probably shouldn't have been broken. First of all. Second of all, it might have been good if he had had his helmet half on and half off. Certainly, it would have been better if he was actually doing something. Maybe splashing water on his face or whatever. But it's missing in little bits in too many different ways. It doesn't help that his head is fading into the sky. That part of it doesn't bother me quite as much, but you need, when you're making a picture of nothing happening, you need a lot of the other things to be happening, and they're not really.
And I think like if it's a close up of his mouth and his mouthpiece, I think would have been okay because of that.
Yeah.
The gold would have shown, but in this instance, like the rest of his face is not interesting anymore.
You're losing what's the only thing that's really interesting is the mouthpiece and the tooth, and you're losing it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I have no problem with this picture.
Yeah, I don't think it should be in training ground.
No.
No.
It's not great, but it's good, and it doesn't need to be in training ground.
The same here. Huh? I don't think they should be in training ground either. Because considering other rugby shots, I think this has got a story going on. I don't really mind. I think the same thing as Tom's, that I just kind of think, okay, it's largely good enough. You got problems? You don't like it that much?
No, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't think it's in the same class as Tom's. I think that the intensity on the guy in red is good, but I don't know, not enough going on, not enough to overcome the people in the background with their heads cut off. I don't know. I don't know what it is about rugby. I just never like rugby pictures.
It's also overexposed as well, which I guess you can't really help. I think it looks like in post-process it was overexposed, not when he actually shot the match itself.
I think he was going for the skin tone of the guy whose face is there. I don't really have a problem with that either.
I mean, just kind of think like it's okay. It's not, like I wouldn't. If I was,
it looks like the other rugby pictures that we've seen on training ground. It's not. It's which for Reed is a step up, I think.
Yeah, but I just think there are much worse rugby pictures we've seen in the past, and that I just don't think this is so terrible. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like it's all there.
No, if I saw this picture, terrible wouldn't come to mind.
No. But average.
Yeah, average. Yeah, charitably average.
All right, Reed. That's just kind of how it goes. So you need to do a better job, because if Matt says it's charitably average, that means it's shit, and you need work. So in that context, granted, like just assume that this is not particularly a good picture. What you can do, I just kind of think that there has to be one more thing that should be happening to make it a bit more tense. The look
what happened when there was a collision? Like, this is the impending collision. I get it.
Yeah.
What happened when there was a collision? Did, if the guy in red's face went to the left and it was blocked by the guy in the white, then okay, there's nothing there. But, did he hit him and twist him around so you could see his face and there was even more of an intense look on it? Or did the ball pop out? Or, did they both launch headlong into the grass or something? I mean, I don't. The only good thing is this guy's face, and it's not good enough to carry the whole picture. That's really where I'm coming from on this.
And I think like the fact that like if his arm is really going forward, at least towards the ball carrier or something like that, I think would actually made a bit better thing, because it is really telling a bit more of the story of what's going to happen, like impending tackle. I don't know. Better moments would be better. You know, I try to cover for you, but it's as far as I go. Simon West. No.
No, this is bad.
This is horrible. It really bad. Like, this is just horrendous.
First of all, the hand over that guy's face. I mean, that should be the first. That should be the first tip. Like, you're showing celebration, and the guy who's pretty much, I mean, yeah, he's the subject of the photo. His face is being covered up. Like, discount the guy whose hand it is because he's looking away. Discount the other two guys because they're in the background and mostly blocked off. You can't have that hand there. You just can't. That's 101.
And I think I know you wanted to show like the winners and the losers and the whole thing, but it's too flat for me. I want to see a bit more depth. And I also, in this situation, cricket is a really weird sport in that in most cases, everyone wears white. So there's no distinction between the two teams for me. Just looking at it like that, I see, okay, who's who and who's who. And you kind of have to like look at it again and say, oh, okay, the batsman is the guy who just got called out, and the other team just got the out, and that was it. But Matt was talking about, I just think like the whole celebration is a bit lame. So the celebration is lame. There's not much going on. Even if the guy wasn't covering his face, I just don't think it was really good moment to be a good picture. Maybe if you had shot this wider, maybe there are other people and other instances happening. Maybe like the other teams, other batsman was there and he was also not looking even more devastated than the guy who's in the picture. Because to me, there's not enough devastation for the guy who just got who was just called out. So there has to be more devastation that has to equal the celebration that is going on the left. And like I said, it's a lame celebration on the left. So there you go. Not much to do. As we move on, Matt loves ass pictures, and he's the first guy to look up if you want to talk about ass pictures, because back in the days he got beaten out by an ass picture for the San Francisco whatever award thing. So that's the only defeat he actually ever experienced in any award ever. So Matt,
how do you even remember that?
I don't know. I just did. I got weird memories sometimes.
Yeah, I could definitely do without this.
Yeah. So there you go. What do you think?
It's not, it's not that I'm offended. It's not that I'm a prude. Certainly not. I just don't know what the value of this is. Like, it doesn't even look like this wasn't an accident. This wasn't like he was sliding into home and ripped a hole in his pants or something like that. He's just straight up mooning the camera, right?
And it's not very interesting either.
No,
like the framing is bad, and like
he's mooning the camera for the sake of mooning the camera. Yeah. This wasn't part of a play or something. He's just standing there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's no.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't mind that he's doing something interesting, but the thing is, like, you didn't need to shoot it in a very interesting way. You have a guy who's closed to the left, and that's not doing like if he looked shocked at the guy who was mooning the camera, maybe. But it's so just.
Or if they were standing side by side and in the same exact pose or something like that, but there's not really a connection. Because the two of them are in different stances and they're at different depths away from the camera or whatever. It's not like one of these things is different or something. It's just a guy mooning the camera. There's no
nothing more, nothing less, really.
Yep. All right, I don't want to look at this guy's ass anymore.
All right. Scott Rathke. Scott Rathke is shooting that sport that is only played on the East Coast of America.
Yeah.
No, just not interesting. I don't really find anything interesting about this entire shot. Like nothing. The ponytail is not violent. If you're going for that violent ponytail, shot, she's not doing anything interesting. The hand is not doing anything any interesting. The light is interesting, but you're not really using it to your full advantage, and that's it for me.
I like this picture more than you do, and I like it because the strings from the lacrosse stick and her hair, that's kind of like a cool parallel. I like how her hand is on the stick. Like that's not normally how it is, I like that the ball is right there, and I think that it could have been more. I think that you should have just underexposed it, right? Let everything other than the light that's hitting on her face go dark, and I think it would have been a lot cooler.
Now, I think the fact that the hair's cut off really bothered me.
It doesn't bother me. Just look
at it. Really does.
Okay, but let's focus on how this can be saved as a picture. Look at the light on her face, and then have that be. You drop everything so that that's the only light that you can see.
Good, I think there's just too much distracting thing going on for me.
That's fine. I'm saying that for me, I like this picture more than you do, but that this was one easy thing that he could have done to make it more visually appealing, which was use the light in a kind of extreme manner. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's her hair is cropped oddly, but I can forgive all of that because it is interesting enough to me. I wish that he had, again, it's like the Jimmy's pitching picture from before. If you have light that's like this and you're able to shoot from a place where most of what you're shooting is falling in a shadow, and then you have that edge lighting, take advantage of it.
No, I agree. I think in terms of just kind of like that ambiance of the entire shot, I do like it. I really do. But I think the handling of the light, to me, is very, very poor. And that just destroyed the whole thing for me. When that happened, I just kind of started nitpicking all the stuff that just didn't really work out, and that was it. So, Scott Rathke, I'm sorry, but, I'm looking for perfection here, not social perfection. Okay, well, that's shit.
Yeah, again, it's the behind 3/4. Almost never going to work.
I don't even know what the fuck is going on here.
That should, you know what? That should be the next. If we ever do a theme again, it should be 3/4 behind, and
what the fuck is going on?
Anybody that actually pulls it off is just going to win by definition.
It's yeah, I like shooting from behind. Like I really quite fascinated with athletes' backs,
and their asses apparently.
Yeah, I do. It's quite funny. Like one of the guys, the U.S. So I shot Germany versus USA a couple of days ago in Cologne, and I think the right back's number 21. He's got like the biggest ass I've ever seen in my life. It's so big, just really jutting out. It's like, wow, it's a big ass. But unfortunately,
Brooks?
It wasn't a very nice ass. No, it wasn't a very nice one.
Was it John Brooks?
I think so. It's number 21. I remember. Like I really vividly remember him because when I was looking at him from the side, his ass just sticks out so much. It wasn't very beautiful. As an assologist, I want to have a beautiful ass, not just a big one. Going back to Scott Rathke's thing, just nothing happening here for me. There's nothing happening. I like the fact you tried to frame with the whole goal thing, but if she was like making a diving save or something like that, it's fine. But she's gonna, I guess, flinging it or the ball's going into the. This
just would have worked. You're overcomplicating it by shooting from completely behind. Then it would have been at least visually more interesting, even though it wouldn't have been more of an impressive picture. It just would have looked better if it was 100% behind instead of this 3/4 thing. It's always just going to look more like a snapshot. I don't know why. It just is. That's it. It's a rule.
Yeah.
You know, break it, prove me wrong, please. But until you can do that, it's just going to look bad.
Moving on.
Yeah, well, you know, this is much better.
Yeah,
Much
well,
better.
much better panning because you cannot see what the fuck is going on in foreground and
Right.
background.
So you know, we've seen pictures like this from Reed before where it wasn't slow enough and you could see individual clumps of the grass and you could make out telephone poles in the background. You know, he has obviously put a lot more thought into this because
no, it's good.
he you know, he got the road you know, perpendicular to the edges. There are enough riders in here to make it interesting. This is a solid step up. This is something to build on. This is months of us looking at bad pictures to get to a toe hold, but that's all this is a toe hold.
Yeah,
right? It's not a great picture. It's, you know, it's just a properly executed series of things that we've been talking about for a long time. And that's good. That's why it's a toe hold. That's why you've taken a step up from the muck of what we have seen before. But don't get comfortable right here because this is not anything to get comfortable about.
Yeah, this to me is a bit like it's Mendoza line, and that's it. You know, it's really average, average. And what you need to start thinking now, exactly the same situation, you're going to start thinking the patterns the writers make, or you need to actually start thinking who the focus is going to be in the entire frame, or there be any focus on the entire. Like you need to be really, you know, thinking about details now. That if you can execute this, which you should have done like months ago anyway, but now you can, or you can actually prove that you can do it. You got to be thinking now, how can I make it stand out? And you need to really be thinking about it. You know, well, it depends on the situation as well, because every situation calls for a different solution. And that's what you need to be really thinking about now. Like, how can I make this, you know, photo stand out more? Because right now it just doesn't. Coffee Anand. No, not really. No. I wanted to see just the hair. Just the hair would have been fine, but if it's just the hair, then you have no idea what the fuck is going on. So it's just difficult, huh? Because I have no idea who Coffee is. And the only reason I know that is because he's got his name on his back, and we can read that. And we can see that he's got a very, you know, very Dennis Rodman circa 1997 haircut. Oh no, 1992, because that's when it didn't have colors. And but other than that, he's just like not doing anything enough, and just converting black and white is not gonna be a solid problem. So,
you know, what's really funny is that I was looking at this picture and I was trying to figure out who it was, and I narrowed it down to he has to be from Ghana because of the black stars. No, the black stars, and so I just Googled it, and he is from Ghana.
You must be very proud of yourself.
A little bit.
Yes, you are. All right. So the only good thing, basically, what just happened is that Matt guessed that he's from Ghana. And that's it. You want to add? Because I just don't.
Yeah, it's not enough. This is again. This picture is more impressive for the guy who cut that in there than the picture. You need to do something with it. Like, it's good that you saw it, but you need to incorporate that into something. So, you know, what Ryu was saying was just the star. For me, it would be just the star and, you know, like a little bit of his eye. If he was looking sideways or something, you shoot this team a lot, you should be able to get a better picture of him than this.
Vancouver Whitecaps or Real Salt Lake. Either, I don't know which team it is. 974, sorry, 14. Ricula. Speedy Zanelli. That's great, but it's just a really basic panning shot, which is not slow enough. I don't
No,
understand why
it's just
people
not
start
even.
like 30s. I don't really get it. Like,
No,
why do people start
that's
at
not
30s per
panning.
second?
10th, 1/10. Start at 1/10.
And go slower. Christ. No, it's just it's not nothing. It's not no, it is nothing. It's not nothing. It's just nothing. It's just run the mill shot, which is not executed properly. And if you want to see a well executed panning shot, then you should go see Reed's picture we just talked about. I've never thought researching like that ever in my life. But that's a much better executed panning shot than this one. And he's not doing anything really great, so voila, that's it. No, just either. Doesn't do it. And it's Matt's favorite 3/4 shot from the back now. It's a festival 3/4 backs today, no?
Stop doing that. Please stop doing it, or do nothing but until you can prove me wrong.
Well, maybe someone will then, because people seem to really like that angle of the 3/4.
Yeah,
shot.
please prove me wrong so that we can, have something to compare all these bad ones to.
Good God. Oh wow, really? No. That really happened? No, cannot. No way.
You know what? It doesn't matter. It's still a disaster.
Yeah, it's a really bad shot, but I just. Yeah, but if he caught that, that's quite cool, you know?
Yeah.
It looks like it's reminding me of Back to the Future, but maybe just that's kind of how it was. No. He's not doing anything. You know?
I just, I don't know this kind of thing where, it's not, not organized. So shooting organized sports, there's all these problems that you have because you have to shoot when they play, you have to shoot where they play, the ad boards in the background, the bad lights, just all these distractions. But you're shooting a guy at very late at night on a city basketball court.
Mm.
And what does that mean? That means that you're in control of everything that's going on here, and this is where you chose to shoot from. There are multiple courts here.
With better lights,
I'm guessing that this is somebody that you know, because otherwise it would be kind of creepy. Shoot where there's a clean background. Shoot where you can do something that doesn't have the backs of the lights and trees that are just kind of randomly placed in there. Yeah, it's great that you got the lighting, but everything else here just kills that. It doesn't. The lighting isn't in the right place in the frame, and all the stuff that is in the right place in the frame is either look where the light's falling. The light is falling on that tree that's on the right, and why would that be? What you're saying is this is where you should be looking. Well, I don't want to look at a tree that's lit by artificial lights on a basketball court. I want to see something interesting. So either everything has to be dark except for the lights, or something has to be lit up that's interesting, like the backboard or like the court itself or something. But this is just a mess of things that shouldn't be there, and light falling where it shouldn't be, and not falling where it should be, and then there's a lightning bolt in there. And if this was the catch a random lightning bolt group, then okay, fine, but it's not a sports picture.
I have less of a problem than you when it comes to these kind of random bushes and basketball rims and lights. I really have a problem with the fact that this guy's not doing anything. Like if he was dunking, or if he's actually in mid-flight and those things are happening, I think I would love that video. Just a bit of randomness just happening all over the place, lightning and weird bush there, and then I think would have been really, really good. But the fact that there's nothing, absolutely zero going. Okay, listen. At the end of the day, I don't think this guy's gonna be able to dunk anyway because it's way too short. But it would have been really, really cool for me, and I would go back to this place with or without the lightning, and kind of choose a similar composition and get a guy to dunk during that whole thing. because not a jump shoot, because I don't think that would have actually done anything. It has to be something really, really quite athletic. That will look very good in the silhouette, because otherwise it won't look good at all. So I'd go and try it again, because it's not something that, if he's your friend, I mean, get a taller one who can do something better, and you might be able to actually get something done. That's also like the ISO.
It's really, really very difficult for me to believe that with these directional lights like this, being able to shoot somebody in the middle of the night, that there isn't something better that can be done here.
Well, but hopefully, maybe he's got no friends. I don't know. Like I said, he needs to make taller friends first. I mean, he's very, very young, and we're just asking for something crazy. If I remember correctly, he did say what we think about this. We're going to say what we think about it, and whether or not he can do something better with detailed shots. First of all, I don't think this is in focus, is it?
Yeah.
Or it's barely in focus.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be.
Well, it might be. You know what? It might be motion blur. What's the shutter?
It doesn't say.
All right. Well,
I don't think it's more. Could be, because the one on the left is much more in focus than the one on the right. But it feels really strange that he actually kind of made it that way. But let's assume that like everything's in focus. I would be okay with the shot, but I wouldn't be like, oh my god, look at this wonderful, beautiful shot of a dude passing on to another dude a baton. It just won't be enough for me. I love to actually see that the guy is trying to pass the baton to the other guy and completely mishandling, and you can see it falling out of his hand or something. Because I think a baton, passing baton to someone else is something that happens all the time. Whether you can actually make it very dramatic, I think will really depend on you. And I think, in a way, there's too much arm for me. I like less arm and more the hand and the baton. And not necessarily black and white. I just don't really see the point of it in this context. And then focus. But I like details. It's fine, I really do. But you need to get it right, because otherwise it just looks like a really lazy picture that's being cropped. Not going?
yeah, I'm stuck on this picture because my dad was a track coach, and he had a bunch of awards from I forget what meet it was, but it looked exactly like this on the plaque. So emotionally, it connects with me, but execution-wise, it's just not that good.
No, it really isn't that good execution-wise. I think you should try to do it again, because obviously, like, it's the same thing is going to happen all the time, because it is a track meet, and with baseball, things are going to happen almost exactly the same place. So, sorry, my wife is trying to get my daughter to lift her head up. It's tough. It's not easy. So Eric is doing what I actually did quite a similar shot. I'm still quite old. Oh, it's not. It's January 17th.
Oh man, I enjoy that. This is the perfect capture.
What do you say?
The comment.
What do you say for the comment?
Scroll down.
I'm coming.
No. On the actual picture.
Expo Bill. This is a perfect capture. I have a very similar shot. This touch line, he's got a hand out and everything. But I have a ball in the whole thing, which puts everything into context. I don't particularly mind, like, this should not be in training ground, by all means. To me, it shouldn't be. Why I actually said it should be in training ground, I have no idea. So basically, I made a mistake.
It was probably in you win, and
I probably told
to
people
move
to
it.
get it out. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the expression isn't good enough. It's just, you know, it's great that you were able to get this close to him, and it's good that you were able to figure out the exposure so that, you know, the background is sufficiently dark, although it could be darker. You know, but it's not, obviously, you know what's happening. He's asking the ball boy for the ball. But he needs to have a better expression on his face, or else it's just a picture of a dude.
Maybe that's why.
Nope. It's the same. It's really the same thing. I mean, it's.
Yeah, but same thing. But I don't. It's worse. This one, you know.
Well, it's worse because it's farther away.
And the hand just doesn't really do it for me. The guy's arm is not really the right sort of angle, and the guy is a bit 2 3/4 for me, looking that direction, you know.
Yeah.
So, no, sorry, Eric. It just doesn't do it. These two. Well, the first one actually is fine. I'm sorry. Like I probably told you, like Matt said, it was in UN. I just don't think I. But this year's UN, you probably had a chance of winning because it's been really terrible. But I just, in general, I don't think it was really that good. That's probably why I asked you. Especially coming from, you know, a guy of your level, I expected a lot more. That's probably why. And same for this as well. It just doesn't, you know, like Matt said, it just doesn't really do it. So, sorry. This is the end. It's the finish, and this is the last one. Sean S. AFL rules football shot in Melbourne. VFL League umpires are in orange. I had no idea. Not that it really matters, but I think Matt Cohen has got something or two to talk about this. So, Matt Cohen, Aussie rules.
It's just, you know, I like the lines of it.
They got big butts and cannot lie.
I like the line. I like the touch line, and I like the goalposts, and I like the guys in the orange.
Yep, I do too. But
it's not good enough.
It just comes out to that.
So you have to. There are times when, like, I'll think about something that I want to do, and I would notice a pattern like that, and I would say, okay, I want that, but I don't want the Toyota sign in the background, and I don't want that hill, and I don't want those trees or something like that. So how am I going to be able to do this? And sometimes it means shooting with a weird lens. You know, I have lenses just for that, just so that I can, you know, because the 70-200 isn't going to blur out the background enough, and the 400 will be too tight. You know, so I have a 135 f2 that has a really narrow depth of field, and I have a 24 1.4. And, you know, if you don't have exotic lenses, you can have a 50 1.8 or 1.4 or something like that. You could rent a tilt shift lens. You could shoot it from a little bit of a different angle, maybe more to the left, so that the sponsor boards wouldn't be there and you would just have that fence there. I mean, there's lots of things you can do, but the interesting part of this picture is the symmetry, not what the guy's doing, because lots of guys punt. They do it all game, every game. You want that symmetry of it, so you need a play that starts in that corner, and I don't know how common that is, but if you want the pattern, the only thing that's cool about this picture is that pattern. If you want that, then you need to figure out a way to have those guys be visible but not in focus, and have the stuff that's in the background be completely out of focus, and you're not doing it with the gear that you have here.
Yeah, it's f4, so
yeah, never ever gonna happen.
No.
Yeah. I mean, this wouldn't have happened at 2.8, but it would have happened at, you know, if you were shooting with a 200 f2 or something like that, it definitely would have.
I think it should have been lower.
There's ways around it.
If you're lower, and like if the line coming towards you on the left is really, like, you know, at your doorstep, right in front of you, it would have been much better as well. Because I can't really think of anything else about this that could possibly be interesting, on the fact that it's the whole lines. And I could really do without the referees because I think they're not even in uniform. They're not all wearing the same thing, which really bothers me because what referees probably should be wearing exactly the same thing and they're not. So if there's a moment that they're not there, that I think would have been better. Had the referees been wearing the same thing, yeah, I think it's fine. Or doing something very similar at the same time would have been good. But as it stands, from what I can see over here, they're all doing completely different things. And the guy in the middle is wearing black trousers, which is just a no-no because other guys are wearing orange shorts. And he's even in like long sleeve now as well. So that is the end of Training Ground. If you came here by accident, Matt and I, we run a website called Big Lens Fast Shutter where you can find that biglensfastshutter.com. We have a Facebook page, so you can search for Big Lens Fast Shutter on Facebook. And you can also find us on Flickr, and you can basically do exactly the same thing we just said. Search us on the search, and you'll be able to actually find us. If you want to, I don't know, like if you want to like have your portfolio evaluated by us, we have a portfolio evaluating service run by a company called Portfolio Evaluating Service Incorporated. No, we actually just do it ourselves. You just give us money. You can go through PayPal, and it's $100. And what we do is that we evaluate your portfolio, maximum 15 images, and we make a video out of our evaluation. And you can choose whether or not to show them to the public, or you can keep it private. It's really up to you. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you go cry to your mother and, confess your sins to Jesus and Mary Jane. And my daughter is flipping all over the place. So, and so we're hungry right now. Everyone's hungry and tired. So,
and I fed the cats.
And my wife fed the cats. So cats are not hungry. And let's hope that Matt and Jackie's cat's going to be fine as well.
Yes.
So says my wife. So thank you very much, and see you next month.